or you could just be buying time when you write. Because
honestly, like, okay, so this is going to be a little bit of a tangent, and Luca, I'm gonna throw it to you in a second because I think you'll understand where I'm coming from.
cool.
But when I started playing D&D, I was the dungeon master and I started homebrewing a universe, which is an extensive task. And anyone who's ever done it before will tell you start small, do a little village, and then expand out. And what you say is fucking not me, dude. And you build a whole world, and eventually you realize that like some of these things are too large to connect. And you know, you could have taken all the things you put in 6 different cities into one, you know, distinct city with a bunch of cultures, and now you just have 6 different cities that are sort of bland. Anyway, that was my experience. But when I sort of started listening to lore videos and reading up on the universe of Game of Thrones, I was super. It was around the time when I was starting to really understand world building and my own world building through the lens of D&D, and I was so unimpressed with George R.R. Martin, which I don't know if that's a fair statement to make, but the way the world was set up in these vague sort of like, oh, there's dark black glass over here and there's this over there, it very much felt like stuff that like I haven't finished writing yet, but I've left these clues that, you know, should I decide that everything is connected, I'll have the stones, you know, to pull it off. And I don't know, I love a mystery. Like I said, Attack on Titan, the biggest draw for me was what the fuck is going on here. But I hate when, and I understand why it's done, but I just hate when a writer sort of leaves things in this like non-existent space just so that if things change, they can come back to it. Mm-hmm. Like, to me, it just like, I don't know, it's like seeing how the sausage is made, I guess.
Yeah.
Did you have that same sort of experience when you were homebrewing your campaign setting, or am I alone on that?
No, absolutely. And you even told me, you were like, you know, like if you don't want to do the work, like you can just grab like a done campaign. And I was like, I can homebrew a world. Are you kidding me? Like a continent, a map, a history. Like that's no problem. And the same thing happened. I was just like, if you remember, there was an entire like 4-week period where I just put you guys in a dungeon that was just like ever expanding, so I could like keep working on the world. Like,
yeah, there's a dungeon that had its whole world within it.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, yeah, you're in the labyrinth now. I need to build things outside of it.
It was like Luca's greatest hits of like the recent books and video games you'd played.
Literally,
it's all in there.
I started throwing missions out of The Witcher 3 directly into the campaign.
Yeah.
But actually, I've watched a lot of lore videos about A Song of Ice and Fire, and I'm with you 100%. Where all of the most interesting seeming concepts are so surface level and not connected to the story at all in any way, shape, or form, and it feels like very. Just like, yeah, exactly. Just like he thought of a cool idea, threw it in there, sort of added a layer to the world, and it's never going to be explored. I mean, he's probably never going to finish the story of Westeros, let alone all of the Essos things. And then Sotheros, like there's one thing mentioned about that continent being like one of the Targaryens tried to fly over that whole continent with their dragon, and like after what, like 10 days straight of flying, they couldn't see even the border of this endless forest, and they turned back. Like,
right, yeah.
Like that's there, yeah. Super cool in like in concept, but like, and then what? You know, like it just, so you're setting up these, or like what's the city? Shy, yeah, where it's like all this
black glass stuff. Right?
Yeah, like everything very. What's that dude's name? Lovecraftian, like
yeah.
Like very Lovecraftian, like literally pulled from those stories, like the greasy black stones and like a city with no light and all this stuff. And it's like there's characters that have been to this city, quote unquote, to like learn magic, but we just like get nothing out of it. And it's like, sure, if you give me all of those things in book 1, and then like I have 7 books to explore it, fantastic. But like I think specifically for Song of Ice and Fire, it feels like there's a lot of real world myths and real world inspirations that he just threw in to like make this seemingly deep and colorful world that you'll just like never get to see, because our story is contained to Westeros, which is pretty much like based on British feudal like conflicts.
And I almost feels like if I didn't know all that information, I might appreciate the world building of it more. but it like honestly, when I was hearing that stuff, I was like, man, this is the type of shit I would do for like a half-ass D&D game, like a one shot. It's fucking like, this is your world, man. Like, you don't even know it's west of Westeros. You wrote it. Like,
Yeah. No, it's like, in one hand, it's like the characters don't know, so you as the reader don't know.
right.
Yeah, I was just
And it's
about
like,
to say that's immersion right there.
And it's like, I'm okay with that, you know? But like, there's so much we know. And it's like, I feel like the story we're hearing in Westeros is great. Like, I'm not going to say it's bad. Obviously, it's fantastic. It's one of the best fantasies ever written, no question. But like, honestly, watching the lore videos about Essos, I'm like, that's honestly cooler. Like, I'd rather hear about like oh my God, I forgot their names. There's like a civilization inspired by like, I believe it was Chinese. I can't be sure, but they were like, yeah, that. Yeah, like their fights with the Dothraki and like how that whole situation developed. Like, there's so many cool things I heard from just those lore videos, and I don't even know where that's from. Is it like, I mean, I still haven't read A Song of Ice and Fire, but like, I'm assuming there's like characters that drop those like nuggets of lore throughout the books.
Yeah, there's also just like supplemental books that just explain some of this.
Yeah, like a lot of time they're, I guess, foreigners. So
yeah,
kind of like as we would have seen like travelers and stuff like that IRL in history.
I just think the amount of that kind of stuff there is in A Song of Ice and Fire specifically is kind of off-putting, because like, for example, just the Sotheros, like the fact that it's like this endless island of forest that like anybody who's like gone into has died, and like few people have come back except for like maybe like what's his face, not Greyjoy, Euron, yeah.
Even that is kind of debatable because he's described many times as being a liar.
Yes.
Yeah.
What a waste of a character too. But
going back to walls, I think like the difference is like, even when we get past the wall, and I'm only speaking towards the show, like it's hyped up to be something that I feel like it doesn't really pay off in being in this area that like, once you go, there's no coming back type of thing. And when we get past the wall, it's just sort of like, oh, the world's just a little bit bigger and other people live here, and that's it.
Yeah. See, like that's one thing I disliked about like that whole arc, because in the books, like there are different regions north of the wall, and like there are like for example, like there's one region just because of like the volcanic activity in the area. It's like a very, very warm place, and like it's kind of like Bronze Age stuff going on. So, which is,
well, they did change a lot in the show. Like, I think even the northern tribes, like the Thenn, they're like, they turned them into like warmongers, whereas I think in the books they're like the most advanced of all the Northmen.
Yeah, that's the Bronze Age type.
Oh, okay,
yeah, and it's like very like normal people, just Bronze Age technology, and instead we got, you should really try eating crow. Man, when I saw that, I was like, what the fuck? And then that's where I just like stopped liking the series.